Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto talks about President Barack Obama's visit. Nigeria hits a major milestone in the fight against polio. And what in the world is this Republican presidential candidate doing? Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lenore Moudou. This is Africa 54. Within the hour, U.S. President Barack Obama aboard Air Force One is expected to touch on Kenyan soil for the first time since 2006, when he was a U.S. Senator from Illinois. Mr. Obama arrives in Kenya for the start of a landmark two-day visit to discuss security and trade. Kenya has special significance for the president. His father was born in rural western Kenya, and he also served in the government of Kenya's first president. Nairobi is buzzing with excitement over Mr. Obama's arrival. And joining us now live from the Kenyan capital is Africa 54's own Kenyan native, Vincent Makori. Good evening, Vincent.
Good evening, Lenore. Indeed, the city is ready now to receive President Barack Obama. As you mentioned, it's just perhaps less than an hour before he lands in Nairobi. Just on the eve of his arrival, I sat down with Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto. He talked about a number of things, including the significance of this trip.
Well, I think it's a great moment for both Kenya and America, that relations that have been worked on over many years receive a new boost by the visit of President Obama. And President Obama is not just any other American president. He has African roots, and more specifically Kenyan roots. And so it is significant in a very different way.
While it's a very exciting time for Kenya, the continent is actually looking at Kenya right now. Other issues actually got generated by this. DP Ruto, will he meet President Barack Obama? Now, is that something that has bothered you?
Not in the very least. The President of America is visiting Kenya, the country. He is not the guest of any one individual. He will be discussing with the government of Kenya. And we are very happy and excited that we will be able to discuss that which is important between the people of Kenya, the private sector in Kenya, the economic drivers in Kenya, and the investors and the government of the United States. We do not want to trivialize this to individual matters.
If you were to be asked to kind of in a few words say, what would you hope to see achieved by the visit of President Barack Obama to Kenya?
I hope to see a greater understanding of the American private sector, business and investors, of the opportunities that exist not just in Kenya, but in Kenya and in our region. And I hope to see more appreciation of the American public, of the tremendous, magical tourist opportunity that exists in Kenya.
What is it, one thing you could say, or maybe two, that is sometimes not well understood about you?
Well, I think generally the people of Kenya have come to understand me. But maybe people beyond Kenya, because of the many theories that have been put across as to our relationship with the Kenyan past and our participation or influence over that Kenyan past is what sometimes is misunderstood. But I think the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta and myself were elected in the last general election is clearly an indication that the people of Kenya understand not just the president, but understand me very well, that we mean well for this country, and they were not wrong. I think the kind of transformation that has happened in the last 2 years is for anybody's guess. I mean, the people of Kenya know that indeed they elected the right people into office, and that is why we have the kind of transformation that is going on in our nation.
Very interesting package. Now tell us, Vincent, how much of an issue has Mr. Ruto's pending ICC case been regarding President Obama's trip to Kenya?
You know, people have been talking about it. You read stories in the newspapers raising concerns as to whether President Obama will actually meet Mr. Ruto because of this pending ICC case. But I think what President Uhuru Kenyatta said shed light to what the reality is, that President Barack Obama is not coming to Kenya to meet Deputy President William Ruto. He's coming to meet his counterpart, President Uhuru Kenyatta. But of course, they'll meet members of his government, of Uhuru's government, and that includes William Ruto. So Mr. William Ruto will be in that group of government officials that will meet President Barack Obama. But as Mr. Ruto puts it, he is not expected to have a personal one-on-one with President Barack Obama, and that is clear. So it has been a little issue, but really not so much of an issue, you know, given that there has been this kind of frenzy as the country awaits the arrival of President Obama.
And speaking of frenzy, it has been a media frenzy as well.
It has been a media frenzy for the last 2 weeks. You can say that all the media houses have just been talking about Obama. The newspapers have been writing their headline, rather front page stories have all been about Obama. The television stations, almost to, you know, all of them have just been covering President Obama almost 24 hours around. Just today, the newspapers, for example, if you look at the Standard newspaper, one of the major dailies here, produced a bumper issue, 128 pages, and it is all about President Barack Obama with his picture on the front saying, "Karibu Obama," welcome Obama, and everything in this newspaper is just about Barack Obama. So, well, it's been a climax at this time. Of course, today we look forward to even more of that coverage come tomorrow and the day after until he leaves this country.
Quickly, who are some of the people that are expected to attend the summit tomorrow?
Well, we have well, a number of people. It's a mix of you know, prominent people, big business investors from around the world who are attending this Global Entrepreneurship Summit, but also young innovators who are from across the world, also entrepreneurs, people who have great ideas who have been exhibiting their initiatives right here in Nairobi for a number of days now. I'm not able to mention to you specific names, but be sure that they're really powerful, wealthy business people and investors that are attending this meeting, along with the government officials from across the world. Great,
Vincent. Thank you so much for joining us again. And that was Africa 54's Vincent Makori reporting live from Nairobi. Now, as we've mentioned, President Obama will highlight the importance of boosting U.S. investment in Africa during his trip to Kenya and speak at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. U.S. officials say nearly half of all jobs created in Africa are from small businesses, many of them owned by women. VOA's Arupande talks to a Rwandan handicraft exporter who has transformed the lives of thousands of women with the help of the United States.
The Rwandan genocide decimated families and left many women to fend for themselves. But Janet Nakubana and her sister devised a way to help Rwandan women become self-reliant. They sell their hand-woven baskets overseas to large U.S. retailers like Macy's through our handicraft export company, Kahaya Links.
We have actually empowered over 3,000 women in Rwandan communities. These women are no longer on the street begging. They can buy their health insurance. They can pay tuition for their children.
Nakubana credits the 2000 African Growth and Opportunity Act for opening U.S. markets to African entrepreneurs like her, and the government-funded U.S. Africa Development Foundation for giving her a grant and the training needed to get her business off the ground a decade ago. U.S. ADF Chairman Jack Leslie says the foundation's mission is to work with the underserved in Africa, where small business creates about 50% of the jobs on the continent.
Africa, to give you a sense, only gets about 3% of foreign direct investment. So helping these engines of growth and these enterprises that are really creating jobs is incredibly important, and they're good investments.
Leslie says President Obama's visit to Kenya and speech at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit will bring the world's attention to a new wave of economic activity in Africa.
There's talk of the Silicon Savannah in East Africa, which is really showing amazing leaps in mobile technology. I mean, in many ways, the Kenyans are way ahead of us in the United States on mobile banking, for example.
But it's not just boosting small African entrepreneurs. USADF is also pairing with large American companies like GE to help give more Africans access to electricity. GE Africa CEO Jay Ireland says Africa offers tremendous potential for investment, but adequate infrastructure is key to economic growth.
The economic growth of the countries are going to be absolutely critical to have power. And they need that to attract manufacturing. They need that to whether it's mines or oil rigs or shopping centers or whatever, they need electricity. So you're looking at a significant deficit of power across the range of countries.
GE, USADF, and others are supporting small businesses to come up with off-grid energy solutions. For Janet Nikobana, investing in entrepreneurs, particularly women, is key to the economic empowerment of an entire country.
Empowering us, giving us opportunities, you are giving opportunity to the generation of tomorrow.
Aru Pandey, VOA News, the White House.
After departing Kenya, President Obama heads to Ethiopia, where he'll meet with top African Union officials. It's the first time any sitting U.S. president has visited the halls of the continental body in Addis Ababa. VOA's Anita Powell has more.
President Barack Obama's third state visit to Africa will take him where no sitting U.S. president has gone before, into the halls of the African Union. Mr. Obama will travel to Addis Ababa, the headquarters of the AU, as part of a trip that will also take him to Kenya. He will meet with leaders in both nations and with African Union leaders as well. Analysts say that at the AU, Mr. Obama will continue his government's discussions on fighting terrorism and boosting development and democratization.
The fight against the terrorism, which is becoming a very important, and the question of democratic power alternation in Africa. So certainly an opportunity to reiterate the position of the U.S. on those two key issues and send a strong message to African leaders who want to hang on to power.
The U.S. and AU don't always agree. The U.S. strongly opposed the AU's refusal to arrest Sudan's president on an international criminal court warrant for genocide at a recent AU summit in Johannesburg. The U.S. has also opposed attempts by some African leaders to extend their terms by changing or reinterpreting their constitutions, as currently seen in Burundi. But U.S. officials say they have a growing respect for the African Union.
It is an effective organization, and it still has a lot of work to do. It's respected on the continent, and I think as we look forward to the AU's agenda for 2063, we're going to see the AU become more powerful on the continent.
Analysts say the U.S. needs the AU as much as the AU needs the U.S., a major funder of the organization. But some also note that Africa has many other suitors.
But the U.S. definitely needs the AU if it wants to work with Africa, make deals, be in opposition to the Chinese.
For that reason and others, this will be a historic visit for Mr. Obama, and one that is likely to help shape his legacy as the first American president with strong ties to Africa. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
For more coverage on President Obama's visit to Kenya, be sure to join us tomorrow for a special Saturday edition of Africa 54. Vincent Makori will return with another live report from Nairobi. Plus, we'll have a panel expert on Africa in our studio for a roundtable discussion on all of the key issues of Mr. Obama's visit to Kenya. You don't want to miss it. Now, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, Nigeria hits a milestone in the fight against polio. Stay with us.
From science and technology, here's What's New.
What's new? A robotic bricklayer that its inventor says can place 1,000 bricks an hour. It's called Hadrian, yes, for the wall, and it's a big mobile platform stacked with bricks next to a huge cantilevered hydraulic arm that sprouts from the center of the platform, able to stretch a distance of 8.5 meters. Hadrian can work 24 hours a day, squirting mortar on bricks and placing them fast enough to build a moderately sized house every 2 days, or about 150 houses a year. This high-tech bricklayer, designed in Australia for a company called Fast Bricks Robotics, uses 3D designs of houses to program where all the bricks go before cutting and placing each of them. And the reach of the robotic arm means Hadrian doesn't have to be moved that often. The company says if Hadrian goes from a prototype to a commercially viable machine, days of hand trowels and mortar-caked overalls may be over. I'm Todd Groshans for VOA's What's New.
The world's first malaria vaccine got a green light Friday from European drug regulators who say it should be licensed for use in babies in Africa at risk of the mosquito-borne disease. The shot is called RTSS, or Mosquirix, was developed by British drug maker GlaxoSmithKline in partnership with the Path Malaria Vaccine Initiative. Mosquirix, which is partly funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, will now be assessed by the World Health Organization, which has promised to give its guidance on when and where it should be used before the end of this year. Malaria has killed an estimated 584,000 people in 2013, the vast majority in sub-Saharan Africa. Malaria has killed more than 80% of children under the age of 5. Now, Nigeria has hit a major milestone. It's been a year since anyone in the country has had polio, the crippling disease that mainly affects children. Although a lot of work still needs to be done, well, this achievement for Nigeria impacts all of Africa and the rest of the world. VOA's Carol Pearson has more.
Nigeria is the latest country to rid itself of the scourge of polio.
I think it became a sense of national pride.
National pride, as well as pressure from the international community and health leaders, prompted the government to commit to eradicating polio.
They were the largest country in Africa that had ongoing cases.
Getting all Nigerian children immunized was a huge challenge. It took the Nigerian government, thousands of volunteers, and help from the World Health Organization, UNICEF, Rotary International, and others to get it done.
The people, once they realize what needs to be done, they actually go out and get it done.
They tracked nomadic tribes, immunized children in areas of conflict during lulls in fighting, worked with leaders who resisted immunization on political or religious grounds and for other reasons. But even more vigilance is needed now, according to Carol Pandek with Rotary International, who spoke via Skype.
They need to continue to do high-quality immunization campaigns for the next several years. Also have a very strong surveillance system.
That's because the virus can hide in a person who doesn't get sick, but who can pass it on to others. Children need 6 doses of the oral vaccine in order to be protected from polio for life.
This is a milestone in Nigeria's polio eradication efforts, but certainly the job is not over.
It's a fragile achievement. If Nigeria stays polio-free for 3 years, the virus will no longer exist in Africa.
We're trying to wipe it off the face of the earth and make sure that no one is able to come in contact with it and get paralyzed again.
Now the focus shifts to Afghanistan and Pakistan, the only 2 countries in the world that have active cases of polio. If these countries can immunize all their children, the world will finally be polio-free. Carol Pearson, VOA News, Washington.
It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Why is this Republican presidential candidate smashing his cell phone? We'll be right back.
This is Biz Beat.
When the U.S. and the European Union imposed sanctions over Russia's annexation of Crimea, many Western firms decided to stop sending any kind of technology to Russia for fear of violating the sanctions. As a result, Russian scientists say they're getting shortchanged. For example, Artur Bilski, a scientist at the Institute of Thermophysics located in Siberia in an area known as Academy Town, says buying equipment from Japan in the past was doable. He says when we asked about it last year, the Japanese turned down our request categorically. Also, on suspicion of Western influence, the Kremlin cut off funding for Russian scientists from the Dynasty Foundation, a large private source of money for researchers. The situation is different now, Bilski says. The challenge ahead for Russian scientists to find other sources of funding. For VOA's Biz Beat, I'm Philip Alexio.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what's trending. You know the old saying, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And when Donald Trump gives you your cell phone number, gives out your cell phone number rather, you make a YouTube video that shows you destroying your cell phone. That's just what South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham did after the real estate mogul and fellow Republican presidential candidate broadcasted his private phone number during a rally. The video has been viewed over 1.7 million times on YouTube. Next up is the last thing you expect to find when heading to the top of a mountain. But tourists venturing to the top of Mount Fuji are no longer cut off from the world below. They're being greeted with free Wi-Fi services. At over 3,700 meters above sea level, Mount Fuji is now connected to high-speed broadband for up-to-the-minute selfies and social media posts. As climbers pass the 6th stage of the climb, they are given a card with a login ID and password that is valid for 3 days. Wi-Fi routers have been placed in shops and restaurants located at the summit. Network service is available at the summit of the mountain at 3 different locations. And finally, 2015 has been actress Ruby Rose's year. Hollywood's latest It Girl has been getting attention for her new role on the 3rd season of Orange is the New Black. But she's already a star on electronic dance music scene. The Australian actress and model, who has received rave reviews for her portrayal of Stella Carlin in the TV show, is also a popular DJ with upcoming gigs this summer in Italy, England, and Las Vegas. Orange is the New Black is now streaming its 3rd season on Netflix. And that's what's trending today. It's time for our Friday Sports Report, and we turn to Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Sunny, a tennis superstar, is doing some great work in Africa.
Great work indeed, Lenore, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. I'm twirling my trusty Wilson racket for Roger Federer, the Swiss star who's been described as the greatest men's tennis player of all time. Federer made his first visit to Malawi this week. He cut the ribbon and earned cheers in Mbwetu, where his foundation supports a preschool. The children tousled the tennis star's hair. Federer played with the Malawian children and helped cook and serve them lunch. His foundation has raised millions of dollars for preschools in the Southern Africa region. Roger established the foundation in 2003 to help poor African children and provide them with an education. Federer traveled to Malawi after losing to Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon final July 12th. He reflects on his visit to the African country.
I'm really impressed at the community here because it's the driver and they are so committed to improving their own village, helping their kids for a better future and making it sustainable at the end of the day. That's most important, that this is an ongoing thing and hopefully forever. I learned a lot, and I thought it was an unforgettable journey of learning for me personally as well. I feel like the kids are having a great time. It's so inspiring and motivating every time I come to a beautiful country like Malawi this time. It's my first time here. And of course, I'll keep going. We have high goals for the Roger Federer Foundation to reach 1 million children that can benefit from the foundation, because children are tomorrow's future.
Roger Federer and his wife, Mirka, herself a former professional tennis player, have 4 children of their own. Mirka gave birth to twin girls in 2009, and last year she gave birth to twin boys. I'm VOA Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Lenore?
Thank you, Sonny. Be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 300 and 600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Today is Music Makers Friday, so we leave you now with the beautiful wedding theme song, Ada Ada, by Nigerian music sensation Flavor, who is presently on tour here in the United States. Thanks for watching, and good night from Washington.
Ada, ogini. Haga, papa gunki, haga, biana, haga, ya o, nem, haga, o, yaka, ini yaki kwadu, biku, biana.
Have you seen my beautiful baby? Have you seen my tomato baby? Oh, baby, suffer the cool me temper. Ada, baby, na sugar. Yo. Everybody they wait. Utakene no more. If I didn't maka, better soup na money kilamo. Ada mwa peke mi ya. Ada get them for everywhere. Ada know they like Ada get them for up and down. Baby na tomato, baby too fresh like morning wine. Ada welele, iyo koko. Everybody they wait. Utakene no more. If any maka, better soup na money kilamo.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music. Ali.
On.
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoos ah oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Maraykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA-da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents, a roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.